The lands in between are privately owned land by Palestinian Christian families mainly. The documentation we have from a few years ago, when this case was ongoing in Israeli courts, says that there are 58 Palestinian Christian families that are about to lose their land because of the annexation law. And what does this do when you lose your land? As a Palestinian, of course, not only as a Palestinian Christian, it severs your connection to the past, because this is the land you've usually inherited from your ancestors. You can see that the plans for these areas is annexation. If you look at the pattern of where the settlements are expanding and new settlements are being established in this area, you can see that at least for the Israeli plans, it is slated for annexation. If you also look at the bigger picture, like what's being passed at the level of the Israeli Knesset, for example, the Jerusalem and its daughters bill, which is basically means Jerusalem, its daughters are the settlements. Part of them are in these areas. It means that the settlements should be connected to Jerusalem. So you can see the threats that are encircling these areas are very real, they're very serious. Threats are imminent of annexation. On the ground, the situation is deteriorating. The settlers are definitely one tool of ensuring land control and forcible displacement of the Palestinians in the area. So the overall picture is very grim.
So what you're saying is that they are creating a greater Jerusalem, which takes in it Bethlehem.
This explains why annexation policies are intensified in the Bethlehem area. In the Israeli logic, the strategic location of Bethlehem, its great proximity to Jerusalem on the one hand, and the Israeli ideology that considers Bethlehem and perceives it as part of a greater Jerusalem, make it under, aggravated threats of being annexed. For the first time in history, Bethlehem was geographically severed from Jerusalem. And we have to give this highlight what this means for the Christian faith. Bethlehem represents nativity, one pillar of our faith.
It's where Christ was born.
Exactly. And then Jerusalem is where the resurrection happened. So these are the two pillars of the Christian faith, and Israel for the first time physically separated them. What this means for Palestinian Christians like myself, if I want to go and celebrate Easter in Jerusalem, and that never happened. Jerusalem is here, I live in Bethlehem, it's very close to me supposedly, but Israel implemented these administrative barriers and physical barriers. It means it made access to Jerusalem. The norm is access to Jerusalem for millions of Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza is prohibited. The exception is, yes, you can go during specific occasions if you get a permit from the Israeli military, and if you do that, you can go through designated checkpoints only. There are damages that we can measure from the Israeli occupation with statistics, and there are those that we cannot measure. Part of the damage is on the heritage, the Palestinian Christian heritage. For example, ancient processions that used to take place, say, from Bethlehem to Jerusalem, are now met with the annexation wall and a checkpoint. So people can't really continue this tradition and take part in it. These are traditions that date back to centuries. The damage that the occupation has done on our ancient traditions and heritage is not something that's highlighted enough.
And in order to get to the Holy Sepulchre, you're saying you're subject to violence, threats, intimidation?
Absolutely. Attacks, like physical attacks.
Attacks from the police or the settlers, you're saying?
From the police. The settlers is another story. The hate crimes are on the rise by the settlers in Jerusalem and in other places on both sides of the Green Line. If the settlers identify you as a Christian pilgrim, you'll be spat on.
And so Benjamin Netanyahu stood up in the United Nations a few weeks ago and said that Israel is the only country in the Middle East which protects Christians.
Teach their children to hate Jews and destroy the Jewish state. And Christians don't fare much better. When Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus, was under Israeli control, 80% of its residents were Christians. But since the PA took control, that number has dwindled to under 20%. These are the people you want to give a state to? What you're doing is giving the ultimate reward to intolerant fanatics who perpetrated and supported the October 7th massacre.
Just been telling me that your life is being made a total misery by the Israeli state. I mean, what's going on there?
Absolutely. I mean, I am amazed. I was amazed to see how he can mount on a podium at the UN and say such a shameless lie. We know the reason why our ancient presence as indigenous people to this land is basically threatened, and it's because of the Israeli occupation. We have seen our family members emigrate one after the other, and I'm careful when I say the word emigrate, because really they're responding to a deliberately made coercive environment by the Israeli occupation. It's not immigration gives this sense of choice. If you are living in a setting where there is no dignity, no safety, no freedom, no rights.
Where are we going now?
Now we're going to the Makhrur Valley, an equally important area as Kremizan. It's the other side of the valley, practically. It's also part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And it's under also imminent threats of annexation under slightly different pretexts. Mm-hmm. That's a bypass road. It's what Israelis call a bypass road because you bypass Palestinians. You don't have to see them or interact with them.
Are Palestinians allowed on that road?
No, these bypass roads are made basically and essentially to serve the connectivity of the settlements and the settlers, although they are built and expanded on Palestinian lands. The dirt if you see a dirt road, normally in Area C, this is allocated for the use of Palestinians because we cannot pave our own roads in Area C.
That's illegal.
It will receive a demolition order. And the way the settlements here are marketed is that you can live in the beautiful nature in proximity to Jerusalem and have an easy commute to your work, your job in Jerusalem. So here you can see not only are settlements surrounding the area, they are also started to be planted in the heart of the area, and there's a settler there who is farming with volunteers. He makes himself present a lot. He's roaming around, and it's very worrying. Add to that the settlers evicted the same family from their land forcefully last year without court orders, without nothing, and currently the case is ongoing before the Israeli judiciary. The latest data we collected from the Beit Jala municipality shows us that around 91.5% of the ownership of the lands in this valley belongs to Palestinian Christians. So just like Kremizan, this area is very much tied into Palestinian Christian presence and history. These are areas where Palestinian Christians have existed and worshipped for centuries. It has a huge development potential that we are unable and deprived of using. And there is a right to development. You have the right to development as people. We can't have it. So you see, with loss of land, it's not only the loss of livelihoods. It's really it's the destruction of your future presence in your ancestral land as an indigenous person.